Good morning, everyone. We invite those that can please stand to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is over there, and there's one right here as well. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, class of 2026, family, friends, and faculty.
Thank you for joining us today. We are so excited to celebrate this huge accomplishment and important milestone of our lives. This is Maya Breckenridge, the Student Council President.
And this is Quinn Mackey, the Student Council Vice President. We are so grateful for the opportunity to represent this amazing class over the years. As we begin our new and different journeys, we want to honor the shared experiences and memories that brought us together at MUHS.
Congratulations, everyone!
Welcome, seniors. Welcome, parents and caregivers, families and friends, teachers and staff, and members of the board. Thank you all for all you have done to support and encourage this remarkable group of young people. Thank you for being here with us to celebrate them, their accomplishments, and all they have given to the MUHS community over the past 4 years. Seniors, 2026. What a year to send you off into the world. There is a lot of work to do out there. You know, you invited us again and again to talk with you about what was happening in and troubling you about the world around you, and it hasn't been easy. And yet, I stand here as you embark with a lot of hope in my heart for what you will contribute to a hurting world, because of what I've already seen you give to your community here. A public school is an excellent training ground for life in the real world, where being in community, despite our differences, can be tricky work. A public school is a microcosm of the society around it, with so many opportunities to coexist despite disagreement, to encounter new ways of thinking and being, and to discover things we can celebrate and appreciate together. At its best, public school is an invitation to practice and become truer versions of ourselves, while others around us practice too. It's an invitation to grow as individuals and to grow closer as a community. If we get it right, we become brighter versions of ourselves, and the world around us gets a little brighter too. Class of 2026, in your time at MUHS, you accepted that invitation and you made the most of it. This school, like the world around it, isn't perfect. While you were here, you found your voices, stepped into leadership, and worked to build and sustain community with your peers. You practiced these important skills here, and they will serve you for the rest of your lives. Schools mirror the real world in another crucial way. People from different generations are together in community, and when we get it right, the learning goes both ways. In your time here, I've watched you grow as people and learners, and it has been a joy to see our school evolve with you. Here are the things I admire most about you as a group, and why I know that you are exactly what the world needs now. First, you're willing to call things out when they are not right. We have faced challenges together, and when you felt the school's response was insufficient, you called me into conversation. When you weren't satisfied with the culture or climate of our school, you invited school leaders into meetings to talk it out. Again and again, you have engaged purposefully to let us know what you think, what you want, and what you need. This is not a new trait. From your earliest days here, you were raising your voices to tell us through your actions and words that this school was not a match for your post-pandemic needs, that we needed to do things differently. You invited us to be humble, to learn, and to innovate. But while you called out what needed to change, you also leaned in with us to make change happen. Programs, pathways, and classes have grown and continue to grow because of your insistence that we can and must do better, and because you were willing to be part of the solution. By staying engaged and pushing us to improve, you have made us stronger, more compassionate, and better at our jobs. Nothing makes me happier now than seeing you win awards for your accomplishments, perform in the senior play, and dance to the end of the last song at prom. You made this school your school, and you made it better for all of us and for the students who will follow you for years to come. You invested in this community through hard work and also through moments of joy. You performed in the talent show and joined in from the bleachers to encourage classmates. You played on our athletic teams and cheered from the sidelines, win or lose. You welcomed our rising ninth graders with raucous enthusiasm, and they will pay that joy forward in the years to come. When things are dark and hard in the world, investing in joy and community is a deeply wise and sustaining action. Finally, you showed us that there are many ways to be a leader. Many of you have been willing to step into traditional leadership roles. When we recruited students to help vet superintendent candidates, the large student panel was made up almost entirely of members of your class. When we needed one student representative for the school board, 7 of you applied. That kind of healthy competition is not just okay, it makes a community stronger. Some of you are outgoing and outspoken. You lead your team on the field or court, or lead your class in conversation. Others are quietly wise, leading through steady work behind the scenes. Some of you work long hours before or after school, contributing to your families or saving for the future and still showing up to class on time. Leadership is not one thing or one action. It can look like stepping up or stepping aside to elevate others, stepping in to disrupt an unkind interaction, or finding a way to bring others around you into true collaboration. It all matters. Diversity in leadership is necessary for a healthy school community and a healthy world. Whatever community you join next, I encourage you to find the need there and lead into it. Bring your natural talents and hard-earned strengths to the task. Lead with love. This world needs leaders like you. People who are willing to say, this is not good enough, and then stay engaged with your community long enough to help make it better. Keep doing what you've been doing. Name the things that could change for the better, start to make it better, and find joy in community. My grandmother used to say, brighten the corner where you are. Wherever you go next, I invite you to brighten the corner where you are. Tap into the spark of light within you, let it shine, then look for that same light in the people around you. Lead them, follow them, collaborate with them, brighten the corners, the rooms, the workplaces, the stages, the colleges, and the towns, together. Class of 2026, luckily for us, you are a match for this moment. I'm proud and impressed by what you've done with your time at MUHS, and I'm excited for you to join communities that need your leadership, your honest critique, and your commitment to making this world a better place. Thanks.
Good morning, class of 2026. Even before I knew that I would speak today, I found it difficult to describe my high school experience as good or bad or somewhere in between. I've learned from and loved the class discussions, sports seasons, and countless hallway chit-chats. I've dreaded the early mornings, IAs, exams, essays, and missed snow days. Recently, while I was doom scrolling on TikTok, I came across an inspirational video which stated, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it is not the same river and he is not the same man." Come to find out, it was a Heraclitus, an ancient Greek philosopher, and not some random TikToker. I have found this quote to be an excellent description of high school. To highlight some changes that we have experienced. When we first walked through the doors of MUHS, Mr. Campbell was there to greet us. A few months later, it was, and now is, Dr. Steele. We have now nearly forgotten the old booth-style kitchen where we received lunch before finding what tables we would sit at for the next 4 years, whose line ran nearly into the gym. We have experienced the beginning of artificial intelligence, and we caught on to that pretty quickly. We have gained some classmates and lost some classmates, some tragically too soon. We have clearly seen changing surroundings that have pushed us around in many directions, sometimes helpful and other times heartbreaking. We have changed ourselves as well, as individuals and as a whole. We have gained life experience through the constant interactions we share with each other. We have learned about the fundamental and abstract realities of the world from our teachers and our peers. We have shared stories about our childhood homes in Lang and Lit, debated about international relations, argued about the best ice cream shop in town, collected countless dum-dums from Miss Billings, learned about engines, mitochondria, triangles, development, and much more. Not only have we made it through high school now, but we have also completed a childhood in rural Vermont, the freshwater swimming, apple picking, and so much more. This has also been a difficult concept for me to grasp. Looking past high school, perhaps the most pressing shift for all of us at the moment, the future. School is all we have known. It has been an integral part of our lives for our entire childhood. Most of us have known one another for over 6 years, some even more. As hard as we may try by making plans for college, work, travel, or other journeys, it will never be the same that it is now. We will no longer share a laugh every time Miss Martin plays "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel loud enough for the entire D-Wing to hear. When we come back here in 5 years, there will be people who do not know our names, but the overwhelming heat on the third floor at the end of the day will definitely still exist. The countless baseball pepper all over the roof of the school will also exist. The support and love of our teachers will be seen in the success of our class and the many more that will follow. Furthermore, I've come to find that Vermont has a way of forming resilience in oneself. Maybe it's the harsh winters or the solitude of an underpopulated place, but I think that this Vermonter resilience rejects the words of Heraclitus. It is something that cannot change in an individual or in a place. It can be found in the coffee shops, swimming holes, bookstores, creamies, and colorful leaves. It will exist in the places we love, no matter the time before we come back here again. Looking back into the words of Heraclitus and forward into the next step of our lives, the river will change and you will change. But it's important to remember that what got you to where you are is what will get you to where you want to be. Thank you and congratulations to the MUHS class of 2026.
When I was told I would be speaking at graduation, I thought I would end up having a profound and amazing takeaway that I could share with you all. Along with the congratulations I got, there would be the inevitable question, what are you going to write your speech about? I think that what you all expect is that I will have some big lesson I learned that I'll tell you all about. The truth is, I don't. I have had so little to say that I turned in my first draft on Tuesday night rather than last Thursday morning when it was due. I really wish I had something important to say here, some quote to reference or conversation to look back on. I think the only thing I can say to all of you is thank you. Thank you, Adrian, for reading your poetry to the whole TA for the Personal Interest Project. Thank you, Mr. Farrell, Dr. Steele, and Mr. Weir, for all getting soaked in the dunk tank at 10th grade spring fling. I don't think I've ever been scolded for a more ridiculous reason than playing poker with unrealistic amounts of fake money. Thank you, John, Kehoe, and Wesley for keeping study hall interesting. Mr. Cardell, I'm glad that even for a moment I could be in the same clan war as you with my measly Town Hall 10. Cook, when you dunked on me in 10th grade, I never thought that eventually we would have debates about Ayn Rand. Thank you. Claude, there isn't a day that goes by when I don't laugh to myself about how the whole year of 10th grade you exclusively referred to me as Matthias. Thank you. Nathan, I'm really sorry for shattering your phone screen. Thanks for being my math buddy these past 3 years. You could see Victor Wembanyama play from the nosebleeds for $2,000 a seat, or you could see Tyrese dominate the courts for free. Thank you for leading us to the championship game the last 2 years. I don't think I'll ever have as adventurous a music taste as the French classes. Thank you for playing dubstep so loudly that the whole D-Wing can hear. Thank you, Maya, who through a confusing set of circumstances, let me be the Secretary of Student Council my inaugural year. Caden and Max, I don't think there's a more uncomfortable position than chairing a Model UN conference. Thank you for answering all the delegates' questions for me. Thank you, Ms. Stoddart, Ms. Slater, and Keith for helping me realize that teachers care more about your well-being than how many missing assignments you have. Thank you to everyone who went to Dartmouth. I'll be laughing at the 8-inch dent in the Super 8 mattress for as long as I live. I would be remiss to not thank the Scholars Bowl team, as without them, we would have never competed against Carla and Jane Wickline. Thank you everyone who performed at the talent show, but especially Nick for beatboxing every single year. Shoving as many chairs as we could into the D-Wing bathroom at Senior Sunset was one of my fondest memories of the year. Thank you to everyone who carried chairs, and thanks to the custodians for cleaning up our mess. Mr. Komar, every time I had a conversation with you, I would end up adding another book to my seemingly infinite reading list. Thank you for being so passionate and teaching us. At least 2 people referred to me in my yearbook as Allergy Boy. Thank you, Logan, for commiserating about dietary restrictions. Oscar, Ben, and Johnny, I think if not for you guys, I would have been impaled by a tree on senior ski day. Thank you for making me walk down the mountain. Thank you, Gabe. You're the only person I know who also gets the Jane remover meal at Duncan. Team Art, thank you for breaking the strike in our global politics class, because without it, I would have never heard Esther's This I Believe speech. In these last 2 weeks, I haven't been able to get a thought out of my head. I keep thinking, this is the end of our world. I don't mean to get apocalyptic, but for the last 4 years, MUHS has been all of our homes, at least for 7.5 hours a day, 5 days a week. I came to MUHS sophomore year, and so I don't have as many memories here as most of you. In the time I have been here, though, I've had so many great moments and had the honor to meet all of you. Thank you all for being in this world with me. I look back on these moments, and I know I wouldn't have it any other way. I can't promise I'm going to remember implicit derivatives, entropy, procedural justice, or synecdoche, but the one thing I will take away from these 3 years are the memories with all of you. Thank you all so much, and congratulations, class of 2026.
Thank you all. Instead of talking in cliches about our exciting new futures and embarrassing stories, I intend to talk about something very simple. I want to talk about kindness, and I'd like to recall a memory about our friend Reese, who had a monumental impact on my life and the lives of so many others. Many of you might remember the group cooking day from our 11th grade science classes, when all the classes gathered around in ragtag teams to do a project involving cooking. I was in a group with Reese, who was wholeheartedly committed to cooking steaks. I remember running around the co-op reporting to Reese like he was a drill sergeant, sneering at the quality of oregano I selected. Our plan was to test 2 cooking methods, a pan fry versus a reverse sear. Don't ask me what those mean, Reese was the expert. I got to chop and he got to wear the chef's hat. When he was done, I remember looking at the glistening steak, ready to dig in, forgetting we were supposed to wait and share the food at the potluck later that afternoon. We were quickly caught, mouths stuffed with steak, and publicly scolded for our thoughtlessness. And if you know anything about me, I'd prefer not to be in trouble. I practically curled up into a ball of embarrassment and spent the rest of the day in a shame spiral. And when it finally came time to share our food, I was hunched in the corner of the room, busy throwing myself a pity party, refusing to eat. I didn't think I deserved it. Reese told me that was dumb, and he brought me a plate. That moment really stuck with me. Reese showed me that kindness and empathy are among the simplest things that we can offer, but often the most powerful things we can receive. As we begin new chapters of our lives, I hope we carry that lesson with us. The world often celebrates competition and success, but I believe our greatest impact should be measured by how we treat the people around us. Maybe that's how we got through, I'm gonna go there, the worst hand ever dealt to a class. Yeah, sure, the class of 2020 never got a high school graduation, but we never got a 6th grade graduation. At Cornwall, they literally threw our diplomas through an open car window. Don't even get me started on hybrid learning or our roof during a random tornado. While many of these obstacles have become stories we can laugh about today, some moments are much more difficult. We have lost community members who brought so much joy. We hold Mr. Bartlett and Reese in our hearts. High school gave us grades, tests, and deadlines, but it also gave us something far more important: people. People who celebrated our wins, picked us up after our losses, and reminded us that we never have to carry life's challenges alone. We have been fortunate to spend the last 4 years surrounded by staff and teachers who modeled that kind of compassion every day. They stood outside of classrooms just to greet their students before they entered, and they cracked jokes with students in the lunch line. Just by being present for their students, they showed us how to navigate whatever life throws at us. And given our track record, there's more to come. But we've learned that only kindness and compassion can guide us through difficult times. As we move forward, I know that the class of 2026 will be the person who brings someone a plate. I'd like to thank my peers for inviting me to speak today. This was an honor, but it's been incredibly terrifying. Thank you to my family, teachers, and staff, and all of you for helping me along the way.
Thank you, three. That was fabulous. At this time, I'll invite ACSD Board Representative Jason Chance to help me in honoring our retiring MUHS faculty. Keith Collins, would you please join us on the stage? Keith joined the MUHS faculty in 2014. Since then, he has served as our work-based learning coordinator, and he's taught business education and our very popular foods courses. We thank him for his many years of service to our learning community, and we wish him all of the best in his retirement. And now, Superintendent Dr. Wendy Baker will present our 2026 Scholarship Awards and offer her remarks to the class. Thanks.
I'd like to invite Adrienne Preston up to the stage. None of this would happen without her and her team. And I'd also like to invite members of the community who will be issuing scholarships over to the right side of the stage. So that we can be prepared to honor our graduates who will be receiving awards from folks who are coming in person. And while they do that, I appreciate the opportunity to take a moment and remind us all how generous this community is in support of its students. And sometimes superintendents will gather together and they'll talk about what goes on at graduation. And when I speak about the number of scholarships that we present that you can all see in your programs and the financial contribution that this community makes to its students, other districts are in envy. And we just need to take a moment and appreciate that. So I'd like to invite Gary Whistle up to the stage. Our first 3 scholarships today will be presented by Gary. The Middlebury Post number 27 American Legion and Auxiliary Scholarships are $3,500 each. This year's 5 recipients are, and I invite them to the stage to receive their award: Quinn Doria, attending Middlebury College. Ireland Hanley, attending Colby Sawyer College. Kendra Mahler, attending Vermont State University, Castleton. Logan McNulty, attending Keene State College. And Layla Sunderland, attending University of Southern Maine. The Middlebury Sons of the American Legion Squadron Number 27 Scholarship is one award in the amount of $3,000. This year's recipient is Kenyon Connors, who will be attending St. Lawrence University. The Jim Cater Memorial Scholarship is one award of $1,500. This year's recipient is Ivy Gates, attending Norwich University. Thank you, Gary. The Hubert N. Wagner Awards for Continuing Education are presented by Todd Desiree. There are 8 awards in the amount of $1,500. This year's recipients are Levi DeVagnion, completing an apprenticeship through Vermont State University. Ben DeBishop, attending Keene State College. Marshall Eddy, attending Roger Williams University. Jackson Heffernan, attending Vermont State University, Castleton. Stephen Lackard, attending Lebanon Valley College. Logan McNulty, attending Keene State College. And Reardon Cook Riney, attending Yale University. Thank you very much. The Middlebury Union High School Alumni Scholarships are presented by Bill Cunningham. This year we have 5 scholarships in the amount of $2,000 each. This year's recipients are Leah Calzini, attending the University of New England. Kenyon Connors, attending St. Lawrence University. Quinn Doria, attending Middlebury College. Theodore Manning Longzak, attending Vermont State University, Castleton. And Layla Sunderland, attending the University of Southern Maine. Mr. Cunningham will also present scholarships from the Middlebury Lions Club Memorial Fund. 3 scholarships in the amount of $2,000 each are awarded as follows. Cooper Cannon, attending the University of Denver. Peter Conklin, attending Northeastern University. And Finch Getz, attending Oberlin College. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. The Derek P. Bartlett Tiger Awards will be presented by Dorothea Bartlett. Two scholarships in the amount of $2,000 each are awarded as follows. Leah Calzini, attending the University of New England. And Stephen Lackard, attending Lebanon Valley College. Thank you, Dorothea. The Masonic Memorial Relief Fund is presented by Jim Selleck. Two scholarships in the amount of $1,000 are awarded today as follows. Madison Selleck, attending Community College of Vermont. And Molly Thalen, attending the University of Vermont. Thank you, Mr. Selleck. The Sarah Sewell Olivia Fund Scholarships are presented by Sarah Sewell. Four scholarships in the amount of $3,545 each are awarded as follows. Alex Almeida Perez, attending Vassar College. Ivy Gates, attending Norwich University. Madeline LeDuc, attending Community College of Vermont. Soleil Pareja, attending the University of Vermont. Thank you, Sarah. The Rebecca Lynn Ball Memorial Scholarship is one scholarship in the amount of $1,000, and it's presented by Adrian Preston. This year's recipient is Alyssa Warren, who will be employed at the Porter Pediatric Primary Care Center. For the remainder of the scholarships, we ask that students stand in place to be recognized. Your scholarship and award letters will be tucked into your diplomas when you receive those. The Bill Andrews Dr. Don Bicknell Memorial Scholarship, sponsored by LC Jazz in the amount of $2,000, is presented to Jonathan Kafumbe, who will be attending the Jacobs School of Music, Indiana University. The Addison Central Educators Association Scholarship in the amount of $1,000 is presented to Layla Sutherland, who's attending the University of Southern Maine. The Jana Baldwin Avram 88 Scholarship in the amount of $1,500 is presented to Maya Breckenridge, attending the University of Massachusetts Amherst. The Mildred Harris Baker Award in the amount of $4,000 is presented to Avery Hohenshaw, attending Vassar College. The Carl Simoneski Legacy Scholarship in the amount of $1,000 is presented to Mary Harrington, attending the University of Vermont. The Kelly Bow Memorial Scholarships, 2 scholarships in the amount of $2,000 each, are presented to Solstice Binder, attending the University of Bridgeport, and Kenyon Connors, attending St. Lawrence University. The Allison Worthington Green Fine Arts Scholarship in the amount of $1,000 is presented to Sawyer Witcher, attending Middlebury College. The Tilly Belanger Memorial Scholarship in the amount of $1,500 is presented to Cooper Cannon, attending the University of Denver. The Dolphine LaFleur Scholarships, 2 scholarships in the amount of $1,433 each, are presented to Maya Breckenridge, attending the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and Caden Hammond, attending Princeton University. The Stanton S. Lazarus and Eugene M. Lazarus Scholarship for Community Service in the amount of $500 is presented to Nava Glickman, attending the University of California, San Diego. The Middlebury Basketball Association Scholarships, 2 scholarships in the amount of $1,000 each, are presented to Josie Giotti, attending Paul Smith's College, and Jonathan Kafumbe, attending the Jacobs School of Music at Indiana University. The Rhoda Curran Benjamin Memorial Scholarship in the amount of $500 is presented to Nathan Stefani, attending the University of Pittsburgh. The Vermont Student Assistance Corporation Vermont Honor Scholarship in the amount of $1,000 is presented to Nava Glickman, attending the University of California, San Diego. The Waitsfield and Champlain Valley Telecom Eunice B. Farr Incentive Award in the amount of $1,000 is presented to Lola Kimball, attending the University of Southern Maine. The Dick Thodal MCTV Memorial Scholarship in the amount of $1,000 is presented to Avery Hohenshaw, attending Vassar College. The NEAT Repeat Scholarship, 3 scholarships in the amount of $1,000 each, are presented to Maddie Austin, attending Bates College, Quinn Doria, attending Middlebury College, and Emily Johnson, attending Brigham Young University. The Salisbury Teachers Scholarship in the amount of $200 is presented to Mercedes Sheldrick, attending Georgia Southern University. The Norumbega Oyster Scholarship in the amount of $1,000 is being presented to Sole Pareja, attending the University of Vermont. The OMIA Scholarship in the amount of $500 is presented to Theo Phalis, attending Cornell University. The Middlebury Community Players Scholarship in the amount of $1,000 is presented to Avery Hohenshaw, attending Vassar College. The James D. Daniel Jr. Legacy Scholarship in the amount of $1,000 is presented to Claude Goddard, attending Calvin University. The Middlebury Union High School Scholarship in the amount of $500 is presented to Theo Vallis, attending Cornell University. The Ethel Rogers Scholarship in the amount of $2,000 is presented to Anna Wolazinski, attending Loyola University Chicago. The William J. Rogers Scholarship in the amount of $2,000 is presented to Corinne Biancasino, attending Swarthmore College. The William R. Rogers Scholarships in the amount of $2,000 is presented to Nick Carpenter, attending Purchase College. And finally, this year's Marie Crovat Awards are presented to 15 recipients and are at minimum $2,000 each. Marilyn Almeida Perez, the University of New England. Hex Bingham, St. Michael's College. Cooper Cannon, University of Denver. Peter Conklin, Northeastern University. Oscar Drake, University of Vermont. Logan Edmonds Beatty, University of Maine. Brianna Foss, Pace University. Finch Getz, Oberlin College. Ireland Hanley, Colby Sawyer College. Miriam Kahn, Kansas University. Lola Kimball, the University of Southern Maine. Kendall Lino, Paul Smith's College. Mercedes Sheldrick, Georgia Southern University. Maren Schubert, Community College of Vermont and Vermont State University. And Nathan Stefani, University of Pittsburgh. Congratulations to all of today's awardees. Graduates, I am honored to share just a little bit of time with you and your families, your neighbors, teachers, and friends as our community celebrates you. Lucky for me, I had the opportunity to wander into Mr. Cron's classroom this spring just as he was guiding students to write their own commencement speeches. In fact, I sat next to one of you during that class and asked for some advice about exactly what concept you might find worthy enough of the last words of advice you receive as a graduating class. After an uncomfortably long pause, my new friend suggested that I consider sharing a few thoughts about the importance of being yourselves as this next chapter of your lives begins. I have been known to say that it is more important to consider who we are than what we do. I can remember sitting in your seat with my own robe on just a few years ago. As I reflect on the young woman I was back then, I remember having a very practiced answer as to what I was going to do next, but I'm not so sure I had a good idea of who I was at the time. My identity then was almost entirely wrapped up in the degree to which I had or had not met the expectations of others. At that time, the people who had loved me into being likely understood who I was better than I did. To be ourselves, we have to know ourselves. That's a tall order at any age, but perhaps especially for you in a moment like this. Much later in life, I came across some writing by an author named Belden Lane, whose later work focused on the natural world and its relationship to the development of the human soul. He posed a question that helped me take a giant step forward as I got to know myself. He asked us to consider what happens when a child finds herself alone in the wilderness, stripped away of any way of proving her worth. What does she do when there's nothing she can do? When there's no audience to applaud her performance, such as today? No villain to fight? When she faces silence, which might feel like indifference? Lane suggested that in that moment, the achiever is reduced to something utterly ordinary, and that only then is she truly able to be loved. That last concept was one that struck me the most. Only when our ability to see ourselves without the reflection of others are we truly able to be loved. Not when she wins, not when she performs, not when she proves herself, only when she's ordinary. I found that idea to be kind of scary at first. No one up to that point had suggested I spend any time striving to be ordinary. In a few weeks, you will also walk into a wilderness of your own. College dorms where no one knows your story, jobs where you start at the bottom, a business you begin with an unknown and maybe unlikely chance of success, an opportunity to serve and protect our country at all costs. You'll begin new relationships where your accomplishments to date might not mean anything at all. You will meet the world then only as you are, with the cloak of without the cloak of what you have or haven't done so far. You may meet moments of loneliness or confusion in that wilderness that has no mirrors or signs telling you who you are, where the applause has gone quiet and you are left just you in the silence. I promise you, you'll be safe there. In that silence will be an invitation to answer a question that matters. Who are you when there is nothing to prove, no one to impress, no relationship to chase or hold? And how do you muster the courage to let that unique soul meet the world that surrounds you? Ambition is not the enemy. Drive is not the enemy. Working hard and wanting to excel, these are gifts. Use them. The world needs your talent and your hunger. But there's a difference between achieving from your identity and achieving for your identity. One makes you powerful, the other can leave you fragile. The most resilient, most joyful, most genuinely alive people I have ever known are people who figured out the special way in which they are uniquely powerful. They understand that their presence in the world has a value that can't be graded, ranked, or revoked. They choose to not to perform their life, but to live it from that place in the wilderness where they learned who they were in an ordinary moment. So here's my charge to you, class of 2026. Go ahead, set the goals that scare you a little. Work until your hands ache and your mind goes quiet. And also, let yourself be ordinary sometimes. Let yourself be confused and unaccomplished on purpose. Let yourself be the person who doesn't have the answer, who's letting it come, who sits in the wilderness without a map or a cell phone. If you are currently that person, wondering and unsure, waiting to be shown what's next, take a deep breath and make yourself comfortable. The person you are in moments like these, unglamorous, uncertain, unproven, that person is the one you can trust the world to love. Good things will come from the love you find in that place. The actual, complicated, beautiful, ordinary human underneath all the plans, applications, and goals will be the one with the strength and grace to set the world on fire. I wish each of you the very best as you get to know that human who sits within you. Graduates, on behalf of the Addison Central School District, I ask that you take care of yourself and each other on your journey after you cross this stage in just a moment. We are incredibly proud of who you already are. Congratulations.
At this time, we would like to acknowledge a member of the class of 2026, Reese James Tebow, whose unfortunate passing last summer keeps him from being with us. But Reese is very much in our hearts today. I ask his mother, Casey Volk, and his sister, Mackenzie Tebow, to come forward and receive his honorary diploma. ACSD School Board Representative Jason Chance, Superintendent Dr. Wendy Baker, I certify to you that all of the members of the class assembled here before you have completed their requirements for graduation. Therefore, I present to you the class of 2000 The following students are unable to be with us, however, we recognize them as graduates today. Isabel Blake, Montserrat Lisbeth Garcia Ramirez, Alyssa LaRose, and Callie Reese. Maya Breckenridge. Quinn Mackey. Alexis Williams. Peter Conklin. Lola Kimball. Theodore Fallis. Alexander Almeida Perez. Marilyn Almeida Perez. Asra Anzali. Wesley Audette. Madison Austin. Eliza Bagley. Kiran Prakash Biancasino. Solstice A. Binder. Marilyn J. Bingham. Jason Bishop. Cora Ray Blair. Gunnar Bowe. Link Bonner. Kara Bugor. Nora Meadow Burrell. Caitlin Elena Busby. Owen Butterfield. Leah Calzini. Cooper Cannon. Lyle Carey. Nick Carpenter. Skylar Schwanier. Trenton Chifredi. Kenyon Connors. Spencer Copeland. Levi Philip Davignon. Kisung Davis. Ben DeBishop. Jonathan Deering. Quinn Doria. Noah Drake. Oscar Drake. Marshall Eddy. Logan Eli Edmonds Beatty. Mackenzie Forbes. Brianna Foss. Josie Giotti. Ivy Gates Kellogg. Austin Giro. Caitlin Elizabeth Gillette. Wyatt Gillette. Nava Glickman. Claude Marcel Godard. Finch Getz. Berkeley Graham Gerland. Gabe Hamill. Caden Orozco Hammond. Ireland Hanley. Miley Jade Hansen. Mary Harrington. Mason Harrington. Jordan Hyatt. Jackson Heffernan. Avery Hohenshaw. Justin L. Jimmo. Emily Johnson Pania. Ripken Johnson. Jonathan Kafumbe. Olivia Nadine Curley. Jonathan Kehoe. Miriam Zahirha Khan. Stephen A. Lackard, Jr. Madeline Ledoux. John LaFountain. Kendall Glenn Lino. Oprea Littlefield. Benjamin Noah Longman. Kendra Mahler. Adrian Malhotra. Theodore Manning Longzak. Callan McDowell. Logan McNulty. Barlow McWilliams. Sierra Rain Miller. Vivian Mott. Ethan Mulcahy. Sole Pareja Feldman. Juno Putnam. Mila Raleigh. Cameron Raymond. Rainey Kubler Raymond. Yankee Rayum. Madeline Page Richard. Emery Richards Lindeck. Reardon Cook Riney. Grace Ritter. Sutton Rubright. Madison Selleck. Chance Sheldon Shea. Mercedes Sheldrick. Marin Schubert. Nathan Stefani. Jalen Rose Sunderland. Layla Sunderland. Michaela Tellier. Molly Thalen. Savannah Tomaszewski. Tyrese Franklin Tucker. Sarah Tolgesi. Gabriel Alejandro Velez. Julian Vukoder. Cody John Warner. Michaela Ann Warner. Alyssa Grace Warren. Matthew Whalen. Sawyer Cash Witcher. Anna Wolozinski. Jordan Marie Wood. Ariel Zeeler.